Shana Tova.
Happy Rosh Hashanah and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy Rosh Hashanah.
Happy New Year.
Happy Rosh Hashanah.
Happy New Year.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Say Shana Tova.
No.
Shana Tova.
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 Shana Tova. Welcome to Sin Stars and Shofars, a JewBelong virtual high holiday experience, season 2. We have a fabulous group that is going to help us dig deep and shine a light on the essence of what the holiday is all about. Speaking of shining a light, this year there's been a lot of darkness in the Jewish community. Anti-Semitism is growing around the world. Our community is scared and angry. Many of us, and if not us, then our kids, are feeling the hatred online and especially on college campuses just because we're Jewish. We all know the atrocities that can happen to the Jewish people when we stay quiet. There are simply not enough people talking about it and not enough allies standing up for us. Jews are great allies for other groups, but right now we need some help. That's why JewBelong started an awareness campaign. We started with signs across New York City, including billboards in Times Square. We then went from Boston all the way to Cape Town, South Africa, and we're not done. There are so many reasons to be proud of being Jewish, but when you're scared, it's impossible. Judaism helps to provide meaning and is a roadmap in an often confusing world. Our campaign has been a starting point for really important conversations, both in and outside of the Jewish community. There should not be a diversity, equity, inclusion training happening anywhere that does not include anti-Semitism. We're here to help make that happen. JewBelong's mission is still to rebrand Judaism so that it feels welcoming and warm to everyone, no matter where they are on their Jewish journey. Many of you tell us that we add warmth and relevance to your Jewish practice, and that means so much to us. Please consider supporting JewBelong. We are so happy you're here. From Team JewBelong, we wish you health, happiness, and Shana Tova.
May we hold lovingly in our thoughts
Those who suffer from tyranny,
Subjection.
Cruelty and injustice.
And work every day
Towards the alleviation of their suffering.
May we recognize our solidarity
with the stranger,
Outcast.
downtrodden, abused, and deprived.
that no human being be treated as other.
that our common humanity weaves us together in one fabric of neutrality.
One
garment
garment of
of destiny.
May we pursue the biblical prophet's vision of peace, that we might live harmoniously with each other and side by side.
Respecting differences, cherishing diversity.
with no one exploiting the weak, each living without fear of the other.
Each revering divinity in every human soul.
May we struggle against institutional injustice.
Free those from oppression and contempt,
Act with purity of heart and mind.
Despising none,
defrauding none.
hating none.
Cherishing all.
Honoring every child of God, every creature of the earth.
May the Jewish people
The state of Israel,
And all peoples.
Know peace in this new year.
And may we nurture kindness and love.
Everywhere.
I am so profoundly grateful that you all would ask me to say a few words for JewBelong Rosh Hashanah experience. I've long since believed that before you tell me about your religion, first show it to me in how you treat other people, how you live in this world. The spirit and the values within should be always felt and seen without. And in this time of tragedy and pain, in this time of global pandemic and economic decline, now more than ever, we should reflect on the world as it is and our role in making it as it should be, in Tikkun Olam, healing this world with our chesed, with our tzedakah, kindness and justice, which are not just words or sentiments, they demand action. Thank you all. I wish you the best, and I look forward, I hope, I pray, B'ezrat Hashem, that in the future we can get together, join hands, and recognize Rosh Hashanah. and the Spirit that binds us all together.
Hi everyone, Happy New Year. I'm going to recite a prayer called Hineni.
One little note, pronunciation of is Hineni. Hineni.
Hineni.
Hineni. Like
Hineni.
Yes.
That would be a really big note. I'm going to recite a prayer called Hinani. Wait. Okay. I am the shiksa. And I've raised all my kids Jewish. I have a lovely Jewish husband, but I still haven't learned to pronounce things. Here I am, a little nervous and a bit self-conscious.
After all, who am I talking to?
What have I done?
Am I a sinner in search of grace?
Or am I a saint seeking salvation? Am I so evil or so good as to warrant this
season of introspection? And yet, here it is.
And here I am. This is a time of change and correction.
This heart of confusion and contrition.
Oh, if I could change, and if I could be sure of myself that I no longer had to imagine the slights of others.
To be so loving of myself that I no longer had to ration my loving of others.
To be so bold with myself.
That I no longer had to fear the bravery of others.
Oh, if I could change, there's so much I would change. Maybe I will. But it scares me so.
Maybe I won't, and that should scare me more. But it doesn't. So let me pray just this. Let no one be put to shame because of me.
Wouldn't that make this a wonderful year? Hineni. Here I am.
This year, since we can't go with your parents to their synagogue, I thought we could do our own Rosh Hashanah thing. And since I'm not Jewish, I might need you to explain a little bit of it to me.
Why me? I think we need a rabbi.
Did someone say rabbi?
Rabbi, we're so happy to see you. So David wants to raise our kids Jewish, assuming that he pops the question sometime soon. But I want to know everything there is to know about Rosh Hashanah.
This is great, because I was looking for a distraction. I'm writing my Rosh Hashanah sermon, and I want it to be about hope and possibility. But honestly, I am so freaking angry. The whole damn world is falling apart. This is supposed to be the one day a year where all Jews who never go to synagogue actually do. And it's up to me to inspire them. How am I supposed to do that? And over a video call, no less?
Okay, first of all, I'm so happy that you used freaking. And damn, second, of course you're angry. The world has fallen apart. But I'm going to help you.
You're gonna help me. You're not even Jewish. Wait, did I say that out loud?
Nice, Rabbi. What is this holiday supposed to be about, anyway?
It's the new year, but we load up the day with a lot more.
So, champagne, sequins, streamers, hangovers.
Oh, honey, not a fun one. On Rosh Hashanah, we pray to be written into the book of life for another year.
The Book of Life? That sounds like some scary-ass holiday.
Before Rosh Hashanah, you're supposed to go to the people in your life and tell them you're sorry.
But what if you didn't do anything wrong?
How do you know for sure? There's always something. It is our sense of doom and foreboding that makes us Jews. I'm kidding, sort of. You don't always realize when you've harmed someone.
So, can I ask a question?
Of course. See, it's like you're already Jewish. Jews never stop with the questions.
But I'm wondering if I can even do this. I'm sort of Jew curious.
Oh, I like that. Jew curious. Forgiveness, atonement, self-assessment. There's nothing exclusively Jewish about this. Andy, I think you're right. I have my sermon for 5781. Thank you.
I'm so happy we did it. But I have one more question. So, how does the Hebrew calendar work anyway?
Oi! May I begin this year fresh and open to the possibility of transformation.
Though the future is uncertain, I release this past year with all its difficulties and joys.
I open my heart to receive the blessings of the new year.
May I return to my true self and be strengthened as I continue my journey of Tikkun Halev, repairing the heart,
Tikkun Hanefesh, repairing the soul,
and Tikkun Olam, repairing the world.
Shana Tova.
Well, greetings and Shana Tova. It's Pete Buttigieg here, sending best wishes from South Bend. As Jews around the world are coming together this year for the high holy days, more than any time we can remember in recent memory, the world is in need of healing. Rosh Hashanah and the days of awe that follow are a time to step back and reflect on our own lives, to think about what kind of people we are and seek to be. It's a chance to apologize, even to ourselves, for any harm that we may have caused and go into the new year with a clean slate. We know these are painful times in our country. Too many Americans are suffering the loss of loved ones, illness, or the loss of a job. No two experiences are the same. Each of us is made unique and blessed in the image of our Creator. But we know that there is a tremendous power in uniting across our differences, across our unique individual experiences, and remembering the strength that comes by way of our diversity. So I hope that this is a holiday that will bring the nourishment and healing that we all need across this country and across the world. And until there's a chance to gather safely in person again, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay well.
Well, I've always had a personal, deep connection with the Jewish people, frankly. And I say that as a proud Black woman who sees such similarity in the experiences of Jewish people and of Black people. The story, of course, of resilience. I mean, look at the picture behind me. It displays the Middle Passage, how my ancestors were brought to this country in shackles. And I know that is a story that the Jewish community themselves, a community of oppression and marginalization, can so relate to, but also that story of survival and of thriving despite attempts to harm our people. So it's a very natural, beautiful, and organic connection that I have with the Jewish community, which is why it breaks my heart to see these moments of radical racism and anti-Semitism upon us. We simply cannot afford it, and we really need to be standing in complete solidarity as Jewish people, as Black people, because we have a long history of being there for one another as communities and for thriving together, going all the way back to the civil rights struggle. And we need to show up with that same solidarity and commitment to love, understanding, empathy, and progress right now. Listen, there are tons, millions even, of JewBelong stories out there. Here's one, I hope you enjoy it.
First, you guys want to just tell me how you met?
Wow, how did we meet? We actually met in an elevator at Bad Boy Records. At the time, I was a Sean P. Diddy Combs, Puff Daddy Diddy, personal wardrobe stylist. And getting on the elevator, somebody stuck their foot out to hold the elevator for me. And as I walked in, it was voila, the beautiful Miriam, my wife.
That's sort of how the story was, but we'll just go with it.
Okay.
I rode the elevator all the way up with him. We got off on the same floor, and he kept coming into the showroom, pretending to look through all of the racks. And then when it was time for me to leave, that's when he approached me with, hey, I'm always looking for someone to help out. I think you'd be great. He'll say that I became his assistant.
Yeah, she was my assistant.
I worked with him. I assisted him on like 1 or 2 shoots.
Yeah,
I think
she carried the bag. That's what she did. She was my assistant. But no, we started working together, and one of our first jobs was the Sean John Big and Tall, Snoop Dogg, a bunch of other artists, and she became my boss. She started out as my assistant, but she became my boss, and we fell in love. And you know, when it came to telling our families about our relationship, that wasn't the problem so much. I don't think my family cared that much about me being in an interracial relationship. I fell in love with Miriam, and it wasn't about, race, color. I think the biggest problem for my family was telling them that I was going to convert to Judaism.
Why is it so hard to say I'm sorry?
It's hard to apologize to your wife
without any explanation.
I'm really sorry, but I'm really sorry, but because
it's just enough that somebody says, I need you to know it hurt my feelings, and I just have to say, I'm sorry.
It's really hard for me to say I'm sorry because I'm never wrong.
Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are here to only help us shape the way we are, the way we act throughout the rest of the year. It gives us this time of year where we think about apologies, where we think about sins, where we think about how we might have wronged the different relationships in our life, the relationship with self, the relationship with God or Goddess, the relationship with others.
it's actually not that hard to apologize. What's really hard is not making an excuse after.
If you allow yourself to embrace your own vulnerability, your own genuine truth, your own self, and just say the words, I'm sorry.
Rosh Hashanah is about renewal and taking time to think about the kind of people we want to be. But first, we need to make room in our hearts for all of that goodness. According to tradition, we can't go into the new year open for possibility if we're weighed down with stuff from last year. That is why we atone and apologize. This is how I was taught to do it. By the way, this is not a Jewish-only thing. Many of my friends who I apologize to are not Jewish. Hey, Amy. It's Archie. Yeah, Rosh Hashanah is coming, and I want to check in and apologize for anything that I might have done to hurt you this year. I know, but I was distracted the last time we talked, and I haven't been good about getting back to your texts, and I am really sorry. Our friendship means a lot to me, and I want to wish you a sweet new year. And then Amy usually says it back to me. You'd be amazed at the heartfelt conversations that can come from apologizing, even if you don't think you did anything wrong. And according to the rabbis of old, if you apologize to someone from your heart 3 times and they still don't forgive you, you have fulfilled your obligation and it's on them. So yeah, being able to forgive is pretty damn important too.
It's the high holidays. It's time for me to apologize.
I'm sorry.
I am sorry.
Sorry.
I apologize.
What do I want to apologize for?
I'm sorry for all the Lashon Hara.
For using
evil talk.
Foul language.
I talked a lot of crap.
I am really sorry.
Who do I want to apologize to?
To my children.
For being so clueless often as a parent.
I'd like to apologize for the amount of yelling.
For sometimes being grumpy.
Particularly during quarantine.
My family has been stuck with me for months.
Sorry for not letting things go a little bit more.
I wasn't present.
Sometimes people just want to be heard.
They deserve better.
I tend to be impatient.
I mean, I deserved better too.
Especially when you don't do the things that you say you're going to do.
There are only so many times mommy can ask, where are your pants?
But hopefully you will do the things that you say you will do, which will only help me be more patient.
And I would like to ask for forgiveness.
I just want to say I'm sorry.
I'm sorry I pay attention to my phone more than you.
My husband. I am so sorry for being so impatient. But also, if you could just hurry up, that'd be great.
I'm sorry.
I'm still sorry.
For all the strange music that I play around the house.
For using a bunch of photos of Lenny Kravitz without his permission.
My dry cleaner. Turns out he was right. I had my jacket the entire time.
Also sorry for the guys that I dated this last year.
To my brothers Leonard and Lee, I am so sorry for slicing Mom's brisket way too thick.
I, Stephen Weber, apologize for videoing myself while driving.
I am so sorry.
I would like to apologize to my mom for having canceled my trip to Israel twice. Yeah, there's a pandemic, so it's because of that, but I'm just sorry and I miss you.
We are very, truly sorry if we have hurt anyone with the comedy that we have done.
I am deeply sorry that we live in a world of chaos.
I'm sorry for what I said when I was in a bad mood. It had nothing to do with you.
I haven't been forgiving enough of myself.
I don't know anyone who beats me out more than I do.
Mike, I am so sincerely sorry that I didn't invite you to that party this year.
A lot of times, I don't really listen.
I'm sorry for not having patience with people who don't understand why racism is as serious as it is.
It's important that we be present with each other, that we be with each other.
I'm sorry I chose to ignore it because it didn't involve me.
Not everyone understands the hurt and the pain and the stress and the trauma that comes from being someone who looks different. And if that hasn't been your experience, how could you possibly know?
I am so sorry.
I'm sorry.
I am sorry.
I am sorry.
That is my apology.
So the reason I love JewBelong holidays is because I grew up going to a Jewish day school. Now, I loved and now cherish my day school education, but we were always taught that you had to do everything and that longer was the right way. And I realized as an adult, when I'm trying to engage especially our teenage sons, that longer isn't better, better is better. We're going to light the candles, and then we're going to welcome in the holiday, the new year, and then we're going to cover our eyes, and then we're going to say the blessing, and then when we open our eyes, we'll be able to then reconnect with the flame and reconnect with the light of this New Year celebration. So please join me, and I would love to say that we're going to use this very fancy lighter, but it hasn't worked in years, so here I have the very industrial lighter, but it should still work. Okay, now we're going to welcome 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel yom tov. And then we connect with the flame, and I'll read that in English. We praise God, Spirit of everything, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the holiday lights.
Rosh Hashanah is so important to me. It is one of the Jewish holidays amidst a series of Jewish holidays where we really get to look inward as well as outward and figure out how to make changes in our life and our behavior. And although we can do this all year long, and I try to, this is the time when it's highlighted and when it's celebrated. And I also like the roasted chicken and roasted potatoes and the soup. Oh, and the apples and honey, and especially the apple cake. I make a really good apple cake with lots of layers of apples. So, I love Rosh Hashanah. I really wanted to share the song Shine from my album A Simple Trick to Happiness because it lets you know that even when things can be tough, you can still find that inner strength and that place where you can deal with everything and where you actually have everything that you need. And this is so important to have that core and that strength inside so that you can appreciate things around you and so that you can be there to really examine your own life, especially during Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. All the small things that happen today could be the big things that get in your way. But don't lose the spark in your eyes. Keep your heart open wide. There are flowers that bloom in the snow. There are places that nobody knows. So just drown out the crowd. Just be brave and be proud. Go be a star and love who you are. Once you know you have everything, then you'll have everything that you need inside to shine, shine, shine. To shine, shine, shine. Shine, shine. To shine, shine, shine. Thank you.
Rosh Hashanah, Happy New Year. When I think about this new year, when I think about a time of renourishment, when I think about a time of focus and the relationship between the African American community and the Jewish community, I just remind myself often of our interconnectivity tied in this mutual garment of destiny. While we're going through these things as a country, while we're having this reckoning, I believe in coalition building. And I look at not what this country was or what it is, but what it can be. So on this day where we celebrate a new year, I just want to say thank you for everything that we've done and everything that we will do. Enjoy, celebrate, be happy, be healthy, and please let 2021 and the next year and the years to follow be better than this last.
Hi, JewBelong, and happy Rosh Hashanah. This high holiday gives us the opportunity to just sit, of course within social distance, but to be vulnerable and sensitive to each other's needs. And may we take this opportunity to just learn and listen.
Action. So you know what this is.
I do. It's a shofar. It's a ram's horn.
This is a shofar.
A shofar.
Yes.
A
Shofar.
Shofar. Like
Yes.
chauffeur, but shofar.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to give this to you
Okay.
for this interview.
Sure.
Is that okay?
That's all right.
All right. Here you go, Mr. Piper.
Shofar.
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 Are you familiar at all with the holiday of Rosh Hashanah?
Mm-hmm. I like the idea of taking time to think about forgiveness.
Are there things in your life that you're reflecting on during this period? Not just with Rosh Hashanah, but we have
Mhm.
COVID, we have Black Lives Matter.
For me, yeah, recognizing the inequity, recognizing the problem, and being willing to be part of the solution.
Are there instances that have happened in your life over this year where you're like, okay, maybe I need to ask for some forgiveness?
All the time. Lots of things, both to my kids for losing my temper.
I carry a really heavy burden with my family.
I have a lot of friends who, they don't agree with me on the political spectrum.
I've made mistakes in my life and I look back and like, gosh, I wish I would have did that differently.
It continues to come up this theme of like, I have to forgive myself.
Right. I have people in my life who I have tried to forgive, but they have not been willing to accept the forgiveness.
Admitting something's wrong, which might be the hardest part, but I think that's the seed.
Sometimes, when we get upset, we just hold anger in, not realizing that forgiving is for yourself, not for the other person.
I can choose to love you or meet you where you're at, or I can choose to not, but it is still a choice.
Yeah.
And if you hold on to the anger, like, you're just gonna drive yourself crazy.
Mhm.
Because the other person, they're waking up every morning completely fine.
Any final words for the camera?
This is awesome. I think this is a really cool idea to have people stop and think about why forgiveness is important. Thank
you so much.
This is lovely.
For the sin we committed by not serving our community.
And for the sin we committed by serving our community and neglecting ourselves and our families.
For the sin we committed by chasing after material possessions.
And for the sin we committed by thinking we are unworthy of owning nice things.
For the sin we committed by saving the world, but ignoring our own people.
And for the sin we committed by saving Jews and ignoring the rest of the world.
For the sin we committed by being too busy for our own children.
And for the sin we committed by indulging our children.
For the sin we committed by ignoring the past.
And for the sin we committed by living only in the past.
For the sin we committed by being selfish.
And for the sin we committed by not loving ourselves or caring enough for ourselves.
I'm just gonna check. All right. Oh, damn it. It's cooked on the outside, but it's raw on the inside. And I'm in a real kitchen. I'm not even like those people under a tent in the British baking show. Why can't I make it like you, Ma? I know you've given me Bubby's recipe a million times before. I don't know. You know, and I make simmus every year. Nobody ever eats it.
That's because no one likes simmus.
Mom, hang on a second. Someone's on the other line or something. Is this Jake from State Farm?
No. It's just me.
Alexa?
No, not Alexa.
Siri.
God. And honestly, don't you think that if anyone actually liked simmus, people would make it more than once a year?
Good point. Wait, what?
I know you're really, really trying. Desperately trying. But Rosh Hashanah has never been about the food. It's about renewal and cleaning your own slate. This is bigger than brisket.
Ma, I have to call you back.
I tell stories that come from my own experience in my own life, growing up in a white Jewish family in upstate New York, and finding out at the age of 18 that my biological father is Black. You know, for me, the experience of dealing with family secrets and dual identity was a layered and complex one, but it's an experience that I find very often many people are dealing with multiple identities and complexities and nuances within their families. We've been dealing with this since the beginning of time, and this year for so many of us, life has gotten only more complex. It's been quite heartbreaking. As I go into this holiday season, I am personally reflecting on how my own experiences can lead me to continue to be more accountable and more present, not only in the larger community, in the larger country and society we live in, but also in the quiet, small spaces with those who are nearest and dearest to me. And so I'm hoping that for so many of us, we're able to take time during this holiday season to reflect on where we've come from, but most importantly, where we are going, and continue to have faith that through our own energy, through our own love, through our own compassion, and through our own accountability, we can all become stronger together.
You know, I don't think my family cared that much about me being in an interracial relationship. I think the biggest problem for my family was telling them that I was going to convert to Judaism. Coming from South Carolina, which is the Bible Belt, my grandmother always heard when people say, well, I'm Jewish, that's basically saying, well, I'm white. You know, I'm some kind of white.
Right.
But in this instance, I'm a Black Jew. I converted. It was a huge process for me and my family, but I think now everybody is good.
And the process of conversion was actually really nice. Growing up, I was raised, don't bring home a non-Jew, don't even bring home a convert. So this was a big deal for him to say that he was going to do this. And I decided to actually go to a lot of the classes with him because I wanted to join in with him because I thought it would be nice to learn a little bit together.
Yeah. We wanted to have a cohesive household when it came to religion. Mm-hmm. You know, I grew up Methodist, but for me, I didn't have like that overly, how can I say, an emotional connection to Christianity. So Judaism felt right for me, it felt right for us.
Did you text your mom?
Hello everyone and happy Rosh Hashanah. Most of you probably know me from The Sopranos, so you'll automatically assume I'm Italian, but I am actually indeed a nice Jewish girl from Long Island, New York. Rosh Hashanah, one of my favorite holidays. First and foremost, I always got to sing a song every Rosh Hashanah with my cantor, so it's always been very special to me because it always brought me back to New York, back to Long Island with my family, performing at the temple I grew up attending, so that was always very special. But I also love Rosh Hashanah because I love any reason to repent for my sins and feel forgiven. So forever it will be a favorite holiday of mine, and I am here to recite a prayer for you called Get Up. Oh Lord, sometimes I feel sad, useless, so aware of the times I have failed. Last Rosh Hashanah's resolutions soon faded away. My bad habits remain unbroken. My good intentions remain unrealized. I can make no new vows. I can make no new efforts, so I give up. And then I heard your plea. Get up. I only commanded 1 day for afflicting your soul. I gave you 10 days for repentance, for turning over a new leaf in the book of life. Now you will have 50 weeks to be renewed. Even if you don't have faith in yourself, I have faith in you. Get up off the floor and get up quickly. Failing isn't the worst sin. Staying on the floor is. Happy Rosh Hashanah.
Here is one of our JewBelong favorites, Blessing for Children. I got a story about this one. My husband Gary and I have recited this for our 3 daughters since they were little. And I would love to tell you that the girls would eagerly wait for their blessing and soak in all of that love that Gary and I were showering them with. But honestly, they usually seem to mostly want to get to dinner. One week, right as we were sitting down for Shabbat, Sophie and Lily got into an argument, and Sophie ended up running upstairs in tears. So, we went ahead with Shabbat, but honestly, it was ruined because of this stupid argument and the empty chair where Sophie should have been. So I went upstairs and I asked her to come back down. And there was Sophie, sitting there on the top of the stairs with her big eyes, still doing that little sob thing that kids do when they're almost done crying. And I was like, oh, Soph, come on back down. And she looked at me and she said, but I missed my blessing. Now that made me cry. Of course I gave her blessing, but I was stunned because honestly, I never knew she cared so much. I realized then that you may never know for sure that the blessing you give someone touches their heart, but instead of doubting yourself, do it anyway.
Go live!
We're going live. Ready?
You keep
Ready?
on just laughing.
Ready? So
That's
I'm not gonna laugh again. I'm not gonna laugh again. Ready?
And go.
For every step along the road.
Here with you beside me.
I feel so greatly blessed.
This moment means much more than I can say.
A time to be together.
A time for us to rest.
Shabbat is here.
The time has come to celebrate the day. So I hold you close.
My hands upon your head.
As I watch you growing, I smile through my tears.
Sometimes I wish you'd stay forever small.
But then I see blossom.
And I befriend the passing years.
I love you now.
I'll love you then.
I love to see it all.
So I lift my voice to offer you this prayer.
For every step along the road,
I will be there. I love you both very much.
There was once a man who stood before God, his heart breaking from the pain and injustice in the world. Dear God, he cried out, look at all the suffering, the anguish, and distress in your world. Why don't you send help? God responded, I did. I sent you.
I recall Rosh Hashanah very clearly from when I was a kid. We belonged to a congregation in Newcastle, Chappaqua, New York. And it was a very modern temple, a Reformed temple. But the modern sanctuary had several hundred seats in it. And when I looked up at the ceiling, every Rosh Hashanah, every high holiday service, I would count the light bulbs because there were hundreds of them, 660 to be exact. But I knew that number every single year because I would count every single one of them every single year. Rosh Hashanah was a time when I always remembered my family sitting together, dressed up in that congregation. And eventually I would get bored enough to lean my head back and count those light bulbs. It was kind of meditative, I have to say. So to some degree, I was getting a little bit out of it, but Rosh Hashanah was all about 660 light bulbs for me until I got older and I was able to use that time to meditate and contemplate the year that passed and the one that was coming.
Rosh Hashanah has never been about the food. It's about renewal and cleaning your own slate. This is bigger than brisket.
Ma, I have to call you back. Okay, bigger than brisket. Right, God, thank you. I would just wish I would have known Rosh Hashanah was bigger than brisket before I took the day off work so I could shop and cook and make soup and simmus, which clearly God doesn't even like. I just feel like I've been lied to my entire life.
Cut! That was good. I mean, really dramatic. Excellent. Now, let's take all that emotion and put it toward what really counts. Remember the whole renewal and clean your slate thing?
I know. I just want to make sure I put enough salt in the soup.
Ophira, focus! Rosh Hashanah is a time for atonement and making amends. Aren't things better when you acknowledge that you've wronged someone? I mean, even if you were unaware of it, even if it was unintentional. Ugh, you humans are so frustrating. I mean, look at the gifts I've given you. Malibu's hills and beaches, the smell of lilacs, sunsets, wild cheetahs, Mrs. Maisel, challah, Stevie Wonder, laughter ice cream, Judy Gold, and delicious brisket. Yummy. And you still can't take one day to say you're sorry.
Whoops. I'm sorry.
How old are you, Maddie? She's 4 years old. She was born on my late mother's birthday. When you talk about things that are beshert, this is very beshert. This was to be. I look at it as a special gift from my mom.
Daddy is the winner of taking me somewhere.
That's right. Fist bump.
Where does Daddy take you?
Boom.
He always takes me to the French fries.
We're raising a biracial daughter who's growing up Jewish. She attends a French Hebrew school.
French fries and donuts and pizza. That's yummiest treat.
We're a melting pot, you know, basically,
yeah.
And it's hard to navigate during this time, especially during this quarantine. I've tried my best to have Shabbat every Friday, so I've been making challah. And
her challah bread is amazing. Her challah bread tastes like a cinnamon bun. It is so good. You dip it in some honey. I'm telling you, with a little bit of manischewitz on the side, and you got it.
We just want Maddie to know every single part of her roots.
One of the things about getting married and discovering myself through Judaism, it made me want to know more about who I am as a person. My family has a West Indian heritage, and understanding that and learning more about that, because raising a biracial daughter, we want to be able to give her all the information she needs to be the best person that she can be. Growing up in a household that looked like this, we got to make sure that she is educated, one, about herself and her culture and how she's going to navigate the world. Take away the race, the color, just being a strong, independent woman.
Okay.
I'll have fun too.
All right, I love you.
I'll see you.
Kiss.
We're just raising a beautiful little girl and trying to be the best parents that we can be. Life doesn't come with a handbook. We kind of live and learn as we go along, and that's all we can do. So this is the McKnight family. This is a Jewish family. This is a biracial family. This is a family This is the American dream.
We're the American dream.
This is a lot of culture and a lot of different things that came together to create us and to create Maddie. So this is a blessing.
And can we say to everybody, Shana Tova?
Shana Tova.
Say Shana Tova.
No.
Can you say Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam?
I've been invited to share this reading from Danny Siegel. It goes like this. If you always assume the one sitting next to you is the Messiah, waiting for some simple human kindness, you will soon come to weigh your own words and watch your hands. And if the Messiah so chooses not to be revealed in your time, it will not matter. I love this reading for so many reasons, but I want to dwell just for a moment on the word waiting. It seems the Rebbe is asking us to recognize that the Messiah is very patient. He's just waiting on us. We so often think we have to be asking the divine to do something, to change something. It is in those ways that we need not wait. And so while the Messiah may be waiting for us, maybe our first step in this New Year's celebration is to answer by seeing the Messiah in each other.
Tshuva, or repentance, is an internal process, but it's also a process that impacts the world around us and is impacted by the world around us. On Rosh Hashanah, we read the story of Akedat Yitzhak, the binding of Isaac, when Abraham, because of God's commandment, takes his son to sacrifice him on a mountaintop, on an altar. And we follow their steps from leaving their home to the bottom of the mountain, up the mountain, until Isaac is bound on the altar with Abraham holding a ma'achelet, a big knife, above him. And we know that at that moment in the story, an angel comes and intervenes. And the angel stops Abraham from slaughtering Isaac. And Abraham lifts his eyes and he looks, and what does he see? He sees a ram caught in a thicket. And he knows that that ram is to sacrifice in place of his son. And in that moment, you feel like Abraham is like the ram. And that maybe we're all like the ram. We're all caught in a thicket that feels like the whole world. It feels like we are so inside this one microcosm of this thicket with its sharp branches and bristles and making us fear our own mobility, to fear our own agency, to fear movement. We also know that if we can find even the tiniest aperture, the tiniest opening between those thick, tangled branches, that we will see beyond the thicket, that there's a much bigger world, and that we'll be able to see to the horizon. And my blessing for all of us this Rosh Hashanah is that we're able to see beyond what feels like the whole world to us, to the horizon, to open our imaginations and our sense of capaciousness and love and ability to change within ourselves and to transform the world around us. Shana Tova.
My friend Linda Jum was terminally ill for years, and before she died, she planned her own funeral, including this next song. It was a gift. Linda reminded all of us to reflect on our lives and our purpose. This pandemic has increased the reality that life can be short. Rosh Hashanah is also a gift because we are called to stop the roller coaster and reflect. The tune is easy and the lyrics are beautiful. Please sing along.
There's no place in this world where I'll belong when I'm gone, and I won't know the right from the wrong when I'm gone, and you won't find me singing on guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't be running from the rain when I'm gone. And I can't question how or when or why when I'm gone. Can't live proud enough to die when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I guess I'll have to do it. Guess I'll have to do it. Guess I'll have to do it while I'm here.
Hurt people hurt people.
That's how pain patterns get passed on.
Generation
After generation after generation.
Break the chain today. Meet anger with sympathy.
Contempt with compassion. Cruelty with kindness.
Greet grimaces with smiles.
Forgive and forget about finding fault.
Love is the weapon
of the future.
So next is another blessing that is typically recited on Shabbat. The traditional version, Eshet Chayil, means the woman of valor. In observant Jewish homes, it is recited by the husband to show his appreciation for the hard work that went into preparing the Shabbat meal and to thank his wife for keeping a beautiful home. So while the idea of appreciating one's partner out loud once a week is really sweet and worth keeping, the words to this ancient blessing, honestly, they're out of date for most of us. So here's JewBelong's updated version called The Prayer for Couples, which of course you can recite anytime. But as a Shabbat tradition, with the candles and the wine, it's extra sweet.
To you, my partner, I say thank you. Thank you for being you in all your flawed perfection.
Thank you for sharing your heart and your life with me.
For your laughter and your tears,
your strength and your struggles,
your certainty and your doubts.
Thank you for growing with me and not away from me.
For talking and for listening.
for arguing and for making up.
For seeing and being a light in the darkness.
For all these things, I say thank you.
To you, my partner, I ask please.
Please see me as I am in all my flawed perfection.
Please show me compassion and understanding.
In my breakdowns and breakthroughs.
My triumphs and tribulations. My miracles and meltdowns.
Please continue growing with me and not away from me.
Seeing the goodness in my soul.
The sincerity of my love.
And my desire to continue building this life with you.
For all these things, I ask please.
To you I say thank you.
To you I ask please.
To you I pledge my love.
And with God's blessing,
may we enjoy the best of times together.
Amen.
This prayer is called Why Forgive by Johann Christoph Arnold. Forgiveness is a door to peace and happiness. It is a small, narrow door and cannot be entered without stooping. It is also hard to find, but no matter how long the search, it can be found. When we forgive someone for a mistake or a deliberate hurt, we still recognize it as such, but instead of lashing out or biting back, we attempt to see beyond it, so as to restore our relationship with the person responsible for it. Our forgiveness may not take away our pain. It may not even be acknowledged or accepted. Yet the act of offering it will keep us from being sucked into the downward spiral of resentment. It will also guard us against the temptation of taking out our anger or hurt on someone else. Forgiveness does not mean ignoring what has been done or putting a false label on an evil act. It means rather that the evil act no longer remains as a barrier to the relationship. Forgiveness is a catalyst, creating the atmosphere necessary for a fresh start and a new beginning. Shana Tova.
I am so happy to record this greeting for JewBelong, because JewBelong teaches that Judaism belongs to everyone who wants to claim it. Judaism is a beautiful, wise, and proud tradition. But here's the thing about tradition. In Old English, the word tradition actually meant real estate, something real that changes hands. Tradition, then, is something that, above all, gets passed along. It goes from one generation to the next, from one person to another. Religious tradition, then, is not something that those who already own it can hoard protectively, refusing to hand it over to others. The minute it stops being handed over, it isn't tradition anymore. The Hebrew for tradition is Masorah, which means the very same thing, something passed along. Jewish tradition is public property, intended to be owned by all who want it. And so my wish for you this Rosh Hashanah is that you claim whatever you like of Jewish tradition as your own. It is by nature already yours. Never say, I don't know enough. Oh, I came to it too late. I wasn't raised with it in my bones. Say instead, I know enough to know it's mine. I came to it in time to own it now. I can make it part of me in my own way and my own time. As you hear the sound of the shofar this year, I pray that you remember the great gift of being reborn. May this be the year to find the fullness you want in the Jewish tradition that you already own. Let no one deny it to you. Claim it as your right, your gift. Despite the pandemic that still persists, claim the next year for you and those you love as the promise of spiritual rebirth, of goodness and sweetness, wholeness and happiness, of peace in your hearts and peace in your homes. Amen.
I grew up in the Anglican faith, and what I loved about Rosh Hashanah and the Jewish faith when I moved to New York was this promise of new beginnings, and the idea that every year there is an allotted time where you sit and think about your failings, the foolishness that you have done, the stupidness, the unkindness, and you get to forgive yourself and take that weight off your shoulders, and you also get to forgive the other people who you feel have done it to you. And that collective rite of passage, the ritual of it, I think is an extraordinary thing. The idea you can cast your foolishness upon the waters and the current will take it away is an amazingly liberating moment, I think. The fact it coincides with fall and a new school year, I also love. And having 10 days of awe to reflect on this extraordinary planet that we find ourselves on, I think helps us to think about caring for it better and caring for each other better too.
Forgiveness is giving up all hope of having had a better past.
What do I want written on my tombstone, and how can I start to live that way now? It's not a question that most of us ask ourselves every day or ever. But maybe we should, and Rosh Hashanah is probably the best time. It might not literally be what you want on your tombstone, but it's more the idea. Like what do you want people to remember you for? Here's what a few of our guests have to say about it.
What do I want written on my tombstone?
Is it just one, or do we just get one tombstone? I think we get more than one. We should start with something on your tombstone. I'll do the setup and you do the punch. And then it should just drift over to mine.
What would I want my tombstone to read?
I told you I was sick.
I knew it would end like this.
What's my legacy?
Oh my God, that's such a big word.
How you want people to remember you?
Probably something to the effect of made a difference and all that, but really...
Emmy, Oscar, Tony, Grammy winning comedian who cured AIDS and COVID-19.
Well, she tried hard.
She was kind and always did her best and made really good meatballs.
Yuval David always lived with youthful vibrance, entertained, uplifted, and inspired anybody who shared in the journey of life with him.
I inspired people.
I am the storm.
I think it would be what I put on my dad's tombstone. Make a difference. Have fun!
Oily will always be with you.
She loved and treated life as a loving adventure where love is not just an emotion, it's a state of being, and everything is an adventure.
All I want on my tombstone are 2 simple words. Any 2 words, as long as they're simple.
He pet every puppy.
She worked for God. She was God's matchmaker.
She was very funny.
Made people laugh.
Didn't really post enough on Instagram or Twitter.
And built communities wherever we went. That we are serial community builders. I believe that's on Dad's tombstone. Yes.
That's the legacy I want to leave behind. That I made this world a better place.
What do I want on my tombstone? Nothing. Because I'm never dying. I'm a vampire.
I want to be naked, buried underneath a giant redwood tree. One of those redwood trees that last for thousands of years, and have my essence kind of go into the tree and be able to withstand time. What is written would be written in the wind.
What a minch.
She didn't live like the beautiful flower, the orchid, that only thrives under perfect conditions. She lived like a weed, something that thrives through the harshest conditions and the best conditions, and grows through cement in the sidewalk.
She loved living in New York. I mean, not in 2020, but...
She's a woman who had great patience because she was married to O'Neill Midnight.
No restrictions, no limitations.
A great mother and an amazing grandmother and great-grandmother to like a million babies.
He was a player, not a spectator.
He f***ing left it all on the field. Can you curse on a tombstone? When I feel like I've been able to serve the people I love, when I feel like I will have been a source of positivity for the people in my life.
The end of COVID and sanity in the world and people using their voice to lift each other up instead of take each other down.
My biggest mistakes in the past year is not believing in myself, having low self-esteem, and I realized in the end, coming out to the end of the year, that, you know, I'm pretty great. Like, go f*** you if you don't believe that about me, because the bottom line is we need to believe in ourselves more than anybody else.
To continue to think positively, to visualize success and happiness.
Getting somebody who was not going to vote to stand up and say they were going to vote.
I always think about the Holocaust and what my ancestors went through, and if that happened again, I think I would die for that. Anti-Semitism is on the rise, and it's gotta stop now.
My most important relationships this year actually became deeper. You know, if there's going to be any silver lining to this time in history, I think for me it's the staying home and really loving and taking care of the people who are so important to me.
We need to spend more time with each other. We need to make relationships a priority over work, or Instagram at least.
Knowing what I now know about life, I would say that I wouldn't change anything, because everything I've done, good, bad, or indifferent, has led me to the place I am now.
What would bring me more happiness than anything else in the world is my Besheret. Where the f*** is he, God?
Shana Tova, I'm Ethan Zahn, and I'm the Jewish guy that won Survivor, and two-time cancer crusher. My faith taught me that our tribe is a tribe of survivors. I recently learned from my rabbi that in Hebrew, the word for a challenge and the word for a miracle share the same root word, which is nes. And that's because when life throws you a challenge, it brings out miraculous things in us. And these challenges aren't supposed to beat us down, but rather the opposite, build us up, empower us. So when we bounce back, we are bigger, better, stronger human beings that can make an impact as an individual or as a community. And for those of you who watched the reality show Survivor, you know, it's because I was Jewish is why I won the game. I mean, think about the game itself. Fasting's not really a problem. I do that once a year anyway. Eating gross foods isn't an issue because I've tasted gefilte fish jelly, borscht, chopped liver, and I had already endured the most grueling test of strength and perseverance known to humankind. Hebrew school. But for everyone getting ready for their incredible New Year's feast, I just wanted to wish you a very happy, healthy, and sweet New Year.
I have the honor of reciting the blessing over something that brings us joy and happiness almost every day of the year, and that is wine. If you're a really good Jew, you can use like a nice kosher wine from the Galilee region. But I am only a sort of good Jew, and I really like Sancerre. So that's what I'm going to do. So you pour your wine, and you say the bracha. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen.
We spend a lot of time Rosh Hashanah focusing on mistakes we may have made in the past year. But we all do good things too, so this next reading is about the mitzvahs.
For the mitzvah we have done when we held back a sharp and critical tongue.
For the mitzvah we have done when we gave a compliment and a hug.
For the mitzvah we have done when we gave charity to causes that needed our help.
For the mitzvah we have done when we helped strangers or friends in need.
For the mitzvah we have done for giving unconditional love.
For the mitzvah we have done when we put the needs of the community ahead of our own individual needs.
For the mitzvah we have done when we thought well of ourselves in situations where we used to shame ourselves.
For the mitzvah we have done when we give loving attention to children.
For the mitzvah we have done when we took action for the sake of tikkun olam, the repair of the world.
For the mitzvah we have done when we opened our homes in hospitality to guests.
For the mitzvah we have done when we chose not to use products which harmed the environment.
For the mitzvah we have done when we took action in the face of hopelessness.
For the mitzvah we have done when we acted or spoke out in the face of racism, sexism, and homophobia, and acted as an ally to those who face discrimination.
For the mitzvah we have done when we resisted addictive use of alcohol, drugs, food, or sex, and instead acted in loving and responsible ways towards our bodies.
I don't know if I continue, even today, always liking myself.
But what I learned to do many years ago was to forgive myself.
It is very important for every human being to forgive herself or himself.
Because if you live, you will make mistakes.
It's inevitable.
But once you do and you see the mistake,
then you forgive yourself and say, well, if I'd known better, I'd have done better.
That's all.
So you say to yourself,
I'm sorry.
If we all hold on to the mistake, we can't see our own glory in the mirror.
Because we have the mistake between our faces and the mirror.
We can't see what we're capable of being. You can ask forgiveness of others.
But in the end, the real forgiveness is in one's own self.
The real difficulty is to overcome how you think about yourself.
If we don't have that, we never grow. We never learn.
And we sure as hell should never teach.
I never knew how strong I was until I had to forgive someone who wasn't sorry and accept an apology I never received.
A New Year's resolution that we cannot give up on in a few weeks.
Many of us make resolution every Rosh Hashanah. What do we want to do better this year?
Call your mom, start meditating, lose 5 pounds.
But there's another thing we need to focus our attention this year.
Because it's literally a matter of life and death.
Anti-Semitism is back on the rise, and we need to do everything we can in order to stop it.
Jews and our allies need to be courageous to call it out and to never make excuses for it.
Anti-Semitism is not new. It's as old as the Jews. But this doesn't mean that we can dismiss it, ignore it, and think that, it may be not that bad.
There are new and insidious strains of it. There's the familiar white supremacy movement that pretty much hates everyone who doesn't look like them. The run-of-the-mill anti-Semites, the subtle, I don't really mean it when I talk crap about Jews kind, and the relatively new form of hate directed at Israel, which crosses the line into anti-Semitism far too often.
Anti-Semitism is hate. And all of us, everyone, Jews, Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Hindu, atheists, everyone is worse for it. Now, are we going to end it? Is it going to stop completely? Probably not.
But that does not give us permission to throw our hands up and accept it, make excuses, or discount it. In fact, it's exactly the opposite. We must talk about it, write about it, learn about it, and call it out.
Any kind of hate never stays small, little, confined. We should never, ever ignore it and let it grow.
And you still can't take one day to say you're sorry.
Whoops. I'm sorry. I mean, okay, God, forget about my meal, my delicious meal. I am sorry.
Ophira, apologizing to me is for Yom Kippur. See you in 10 days. But I appreciate where your head is. Rabbi Menachem Schneerson, how you doing, Rabbi? Yeah, we're talking about you. He said, if you see what needs to be repaired and how to repair it, then you have found a piece of the world that God has left for you to complete. It was my idea, but I don't need all the credit.
Right, repairing the world. Tikkun Olam, I will work on it. We, all of us will work on it together. Apologizing to those that I have hurt and accepting apologies from others. You know, I used to think holding a grudge was a sign of commitment and discipline, loyalty. But now I realize it's toxic. Okay, God, please hold. Okay, just for a second. Just switching calls. Hey, Emily, hi. Yeah, I know you weren't expecting to hear from me. Yeah, I'm just preparing the holiday meal and making my brisket. But I just wanted to apologize for what happened at book club last week. I know, it was just a joke. I'm sorry, and next time I will read the book. Let's catch up next week. Okay, Happy New Year to you too. Bye.
See? Doesn't that feel great?
Yeah.
Now I can write you into the book of life. Where's my pen?
That's a real thing?
If you believe, then why not? Now, wanting to make a tasty brisket, that's fine too. It brings joy. Look, I didn't give people taste buds in a broiler pan for nothing. Now would be a good time to check your oven.
God, it's perfect.
Anytime. Yeah, I'm always here if you need me.
I'm gonna play poker tomorrow night. Any tips?
By the way, you might want to call a plumber on Tuesday.
So this next blessing, entitled, A Blessing for Anyone Who Isn't Jewish, because we know this is a lot, is only for some of you. Jews have been falling in love with people who are not Jewish for thousands of years. You not Jewish partners are crucial to our community. You come to Rosh Hashanah, your kids get bar mitzvahed, you make the kugel. And frankly, you are not thanked or blessed nearly as often as you should be. This next blessing is for you.
May everyone who shares in a Jewish life feel welcome and integrated.
We lovingly acknowledge the diversity of our community and are deeply grateful for the love and support you provide by opening your heart to Judaism.
No matter how big or small a part it is in your day.
Your presence at this Jewish experience is valued.
It is not taken for granted.
Because not everyone in this broken world will sit at a Shabbat dinner
or attend a Passover Seder.
We are very small people and history has made us smaller. As we once again see a rise in hatred and hear fear in the voices of our community.
We are grateful for your presence.
We pray with all our hearts
that all you give to the Jewish people will come back to you
and fill your life with joy.
Yesterday, a child came out to wander, caught a dragonfly inside a star. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on a carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in the circle game. Then the child moved 10 times round the seasons, skated over 10 clear frozen streams. Words like when you're older must appease him, and promises of someday make his dreams. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on a carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in the circle game. 16 springs and 16 summers gone now. Cartwheels turn to cartwheels through the town, and they tell him, take your time, it won't be long now, till you drag your feet too slow the circle down. So the years spin by, and now the boy's 20. Those dreams have lost some grandeur coming true. There'll be new dreams, maybe better dreams, and plenty before the last revolving year is through. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on a carousel of time. We can't go back, we can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in the circle game. And go round and round and round in the circle game. Shana Tova.
I can't hear my voice. Am I on mute? Oh, it's working. Oh, well, hello, humans. God here. Happy Rosh Hashanah. Quite a mess going on down there, I can see. I can also see, there's actually nothing I can't see. Anyway, what I was gonna say is that it's all gone digital this year. Even my rituals. What, you expected stone tablets? And those lovely folks at JewBelong have done a beautiful job. You can apologize, cast your sins, also called tashlich. You can even plan out what's written on your tombstone so that you can start living that life today. Everything you write is between you and, well, actually you. I mean, share it if you like, but if you don't choose to share, your work is confidential, so give it a try. I mean, I'll know, obviously, but hey, help me help you, you know? Ah, my screen's frozen. You'd think we'd have better internet up here. Hui, Shana Tova.
God out!
So you get the theme of Rosh Hashanah, that it's about cleaning our slate, going into the new year open to transformation, right? So tashlich is like being in the express lane for getting there. The way tashlich works is you go to a body of water and you symbolically cast your sins in. People usually throw breadcrumbs as a symbol of their sins. But don't get too bogged down in the word sin. Think of Tashlich as a chance to get rid of baggage and emotions that you may have needed in the past, but that just don't serve you well anymore. Anger, jealousy, judgmentalness, quest for revenge, guilt. I got that one. Most of us have these feelings, and most of us would feel better without them. So let's take a look at what these familiar faces are casting away.
Here I am again, ready to let go of my mistakes. Help me to release myself from all the ways I've missed the mark. As I cast this bread upon the waters, lift my troubles off my shoulders. Help me to know that last year is over, washed away like crumbs in the current. Open my heart to blessing and gratitude, and renew my soul as the dew renews the grasses.
So I was sitting here thinking about Tashlich.
The ritual where I toss my sins into a body of water.
I cast my sins into the sea.
So I was sitting here thinking about what negative habits I wanted to get rid of.
I release my sin of what other people think of me, and that taking way too much space in my head.
Pride.
Facebook and Twitter.
I release my sin of control and wanting to control
I would like to throw off that stress that's happened this last year.
Every single piece of transgression.
I curse too much.
I release the sin of dishonesty. I release the sin of wanting everybody to like me. That does not serve me.
I'm here at the beach, eating Cinderella pizza.
Eating these Krispy Kremes.
Am I kidding? Cinderella?
I smoke a little weed every now and then.
I release the sin of judging people without knowing their story.
Me too.
Part of my wanting forgiveness is also learning to forgive.
Dear God, I'm just going to try to be a better version of myself.
Be as kind to myself as I am to others.
I decided to make, a sinful redemption smoothie, I guess you want to call it. So,
I'm going to be doing tashlich by taking Triscuits.
I'm just going to put some bread, and it's not holy bread, it's wheat bread.
Honestly, throwing bread is really hard for me because this is good bread.
And this pizza's too good, so I'm only going to take a portion of it.
I'm going to take it, I'm going to cast it away.
We use a bathtub, we use a cup of water.
On top of this iPad that's showing the poster for the Oscar-winning film The Shape of Water.
I cast my sins into the sea. I cast them into the depths of the sea.
Here's gone.
Holla. Water.
And I'm going to drop them in here.
Cast them into a place where they will not be remembered,
What? I can't. Okay, sorry.
nor recalled.
Did the bird get it?
Yeah.
Now the bird has to cast away its sins.
This is what's called the Shofar. Back in biblical history, this was meant to announce wars, to celebrate important times and seasons and anniversaries, and perhaps on a revelatory level, most importantly, it was there to announce the giving of the Ten Commandments, the Torah, the Jewish scripture at Mount Sinai. But for thousands of years now, this has been what I call the Jewish alarm clock. It comes from literally a ram, it's a ram's horn, and it's there to wake us up out of our slumber. What slumber am I talking about? I'm talking about spiritual slumber. Every Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, every Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, this is blown to wake us up to renewal, to make us understand that we're not supposed to just sort of skate through life and be staid and be sterile and be bored. We're supposed to renew our lives, renew our membership to humanity. We're supposed to celebrate and be woken up to creation, That's the world's birthday. Just like we celebrate our birthdays, we want to celebrate the world. We're supposed to wake up to purpose, that every single one of us was born with a purpose. We're supposed to follow that purpose, that direction, that trajectory. But most importantly, we're woken up to something called tshuva. Tshuva is mistakenly defined as reconciliation. That's one part of it. We're supposed to be woken up to turn to our inner selves with the idea that each of us was born for a reason, that we're all on this planet for an actual purpose, and we're woken up to find it and to follow it and to clear that brush to go there. But also, yes, to reconcile our relationships, to understand why it is that we become disconnected from some of the most important people in our lives. The Shofar says, call them, reconnect to them, know them. The Jewish alarm clock, the sound is searing, it's sweet, it's whiny, and it cries. It's supposed to hit every single one of our emotions to make sure that all of us who are different can be woken up in different ways, with sounds that come with short, sweet sounds, with syncopation, with staccato, and with brokenness, again, to reach all of our cadences of the world. Let's listen to the sound of the shofar. My favorite part is that my own son gets to blow this in front of thousands of people every year, and that's how you'll get to hear also. The officiant yells the calls, the person who blows the shofar makes the sounds, and let's listen as we all try to wake up to a world that sometimes feels hard but needs us more than ever. Let's wake up to renewal. Let's wake up to tshuva, to finding ourselves. Let's wake up to creativity and to purpose. Tekiah. Shivarim. Teruah. Tekiah Gedolah.
And now, the challah. So as you'll see that on Rosh Hashanah, the challah looks a little different. Instead of braided, it's round. There's, I'm sure, many interpretations of that, but we like to say that it reminds us of the circular part of this holiday, coming full circle. It's a full year, and the full circleness of life too. And we hope that we're starting this new year off, maybe not coming full circle, with a new trajectory as we aim for this new year of health and happiness. So join me as we say the Hamotzi, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. All right, this is the best part. I'll just tear a little piece. You want some? We praise God's Spirit of everything who brings forth bread from the earth.
The world doesn't need more people beating themselves up inside.
Making a bloody mess of their broken hearts and tattered shreds of their minds.
There's quite enough of that, and all it brings is more pain.
The world needs more beautiful souls like yours,
Who choose to see the beauty in their scars.
who dare to forgive
Who take their great big hearts, turn them inside out,
and give themselves the same kind of compassion
that they give to others.
All right, now we do a blessing that we say but once a year on Rosh Hashanah, and that is the blessing that we recite and we dip the apples in honey, the highlight, some might say, of the entire Rosh Hashanah meal. Apples, of course, represent rebirth and renewal, and honey represents sweetness. So we are toasting, we are blessing a sweet new year, which, boy, do we need a sweet new year. So I have here a fancy plate that's in the shape of an apple, and you can kind of see it. And what I like to do is I like to put pomegranate seeds in the honey, which gives it a little bit of crunch. And of course, pomegranate, I feel like I was told once, are very Jewish fruits. They're, rebirth, renewal, all that stuff too. So, all right, we take our apple slice, We dip in honey with the pomegranate seeds for crunch, and we recite the prayer. I'm going to do the short version. There's a longer version if you're into that, but I'm going to do the one sentence, which is Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'etz. To a sweet new year.
To paraphrase Harvey Milk, a patron saint of us gay Jews, we have to give hope to the us's out there, the Jews, the gays, people of color, indigenous people, seniors, the disabled. Hope for a better world, hope for a better tomorrow. You have to give the people hope. Lashana Tovah.
Our God and God of our ancestors, bless this country and all who dwell within it. Help us to experience the blessings of our lives and circumstances, to be vigilant, compassionate, and brave. Strengthen us when we are afraid. Help us to channel our anger so that it motivates us to action. Help us be humble in our fear, knowing that as vulnerable as we feel, there are those who are right now at greater risk, and that it is our holy work to stand with them. Help us to taste the sweetness of liberty, to not take for granted the freedoms won in generations past. Source of all life, guide our leaders with righteousness, that they may use their influence and authority to speak truth and act for justice. May all who dwell in this country enjoy its freedoms and be protected by its laws. May the nation use its power and wealth to be the voice for justice, peace, and equality for all who dwell on the earth. May we be strong and have the courage to be bold in our action and deep in our compassion, to uproot bigotry, intolerance, and violence in all of its forms, to celebrate the many faces of God reflected in the wondrous diversity of humanity, to welcome the stranger and the immigrant, and to honor the gift of those who seek refuge and possibility here, as they have since before the nation was born. Let justice well up like waters, and righteousness like the mighty stream. Amen. In this time of crisis, I send you all love.
Hi all, we're going to be playing the song What a Wonderful World, which is the perfect song for Rosh Hashanah.
It has everything: life, nature, love, and most of all, optimism.
Although it's been a really hard time in all of our lives, this is the point at which we take stock of the good and the bad.
This song reminds us that even in the difficult times, there's so much beauty in the world.
So I hope that this song will bring you some optimism for the year to come. Shana Tova Umituka. Have a happy and healthy new year.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people walking by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you for watching. Thank you to our amazing cast and crew. Don't forget, spirituality is not a spectator sport. JewBelong's mission is to give you the education, resources, and confidence to do Jewish rituals yourself. Print the booklet, go online and do the digital rituals. We have a Yom Kippur cheat sheet, a fantastic Hanukkah booklet, Passover Haggadah, and resources for all sorts of life cycle events. May you all be blessed with a sweet new year. Shana Tova.
Greetings and Shana Tova.
Happy Rosh Hashanah and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy Rosh Hashanah.
Happy New Year.
Happy Rosh Hashanah.
Happy New Year.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Say Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Lashana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. We're not going to say it at the same time.
Nope. 1, 2, 3. Shana
Shana Tova.
Chag Sameach and be well.